I'll let you know when we get ready. It takes it just a second because we're on both of them.
They get us one of them clicker things.
It's in there. We
action.
live right now, Joey.
All
They
right.
got you on TV, man.
Action.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. We're glad to have you a part of SmackDown Catfishing here tonight. Myself and Joey Kirby's the host, and we have a very special guest with us in this afternoon, Doc Lange. Probably a lot of y'all know him from the catfishing world. You see him all around. He's at a lot of seminars. He does a lot of things and always sharing tips and techniques. And we are glad to have you a part of this program, Doc. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Guys, we're going to get ready to get started here this afternoon. We're going to need your help as we're getting started. I want to go ahead and say this because we had put up here, if we ever reach 500 viewers, me and Joey would give away a fishing trip, probably a day with me and him, may carry you out half the night. And I do want to tell you, we're going to be on Wheeler Lake, Wheeler and Wilson here in about 2 weeks from now, ain't it, Joey?
Good Lord willing.
Yeah, the good Lord is willing, and we'll be there. And last year we had an epic time fishing this time of the year. We caught several monster fish, and we're looking for the same thing. So I want to tell you, if you want a chance to catch a fish of a lifetime, we can't promise you that, but we can promise them a good time, can't we, Joey?
That is a fact. Doc can probably verify that. He was with us a day or two, and
Yep.
We had a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're glad to have y'all in.
Company was great.
Yes, sir, it was. We had an awesome time. I want you to go ahead, if you would, and if you guys that are in here, I want you to share this, tag a couple people, let them know. Let's see if we can't at least reach 250. Y'all done a great job at being able to help us reach over 200 live viewers every episode that we have. And Joey, what I couldn't realize today when I put this down, this is the 7th show that we've had. And it don't even. I mean, it's just flew by. So
hey, also before we get started, by the way, share this thing away and blow it up tonight. I want to congratulate Stacy. He is a papa to a healthy baby. I believe it was 7 pound 1 ounce boy. So congratulations, papa.
Got a fishing buddy.
Man, you know what?
got a baby smackdown.
Got a granddaughter. Now I got a grandson. And one proud papa. One proud granddaddy. Guys, it's good to have.
Don't cry on us now.
Hey, I did tear up yesterday when I looked at that little fella. I'm like, expected. Man, I'm telling you,
I wanted to congratulate you and Daniel, and congratulations. Now let's roll.
Yes, sir. Hey, the ones that just coming in the chat, go ahead and do this right here, because we fix and give something away right here to start with. You want to type in the keyword SDC, because we're going to choose there from that keyword. We ask you viewers just to do that one time, and that's what we're going to look for as we give stuff away. We're going to take a few more minutes here, and we're fixing to, let me see if they done this in the chat, and we're going to go ahead and give a product away before we even get started. And we'll look at this right here.
They're rolling, Stacy. SDC's just rolling.
Man. They rolling.
I can't even keep up with it.
It goes on by pretty fast. So y'all hang on just a second. Joe, I tell you what, give me a number between 1 and 7. Let's go from that right there.
Let's go with lucky number 3.
Lucky number 3. Wow. Well, here it is right here. Adam Scott. Let me put this right here. If I'm going to tell you what you want, Adam. Let me go back to here. Give me just a few seconds.
Oh, Edward Leftover said he's ready to talk catfishing. Just get it to show on the roads what he's saying on my end.
I knew they'd be waiting on me, but I'm trying my best to hurry. Hey, Adam Scott, contact this guy right here with Ninja Anchors. They got a snag stick. You can contact him on Facebook. Doug Bond or Ninja Anchors, and he'll get in contact with him, and he will take care of you. We thank all the guys who help support this program. And let's get into some catfishing. We got Doc on here with us. He's full of wisdom. He's not no, as I used to say, he is not no amateur. He is a professional.
What?
I haven't heard that one. That's different.
Oh, I thought they'd get a laugh out of that. I said that one time. Somebody said, "What?" Doc, I want to ask you this.
That's like a sabuki. That's like his sabuki rigs. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Listen to this right here. I want to ask this to start with and let the viewers know. Doc, what is one of the species of catfish that you target most often? What is it that you go after most often?
When I'm on the Ohio, I'm targeting flatheads. When I'm on Wheeler, any Tennessee River, I'm targeting blues.
Yes, sir. I'm going to take it because when you're down south, and it's hard not to target them big blues when you're on the Tennessee River down there. And I know you come down and you fished here several times, and it's people that's kept up with you. They've seen you holding some monster fish. I want to ask you this right here. When you go into a body of water and you get there, is there certain things that you look for, that you're searching for, trying to locate these fish? And I want to say this before I let you get into this. And we're not just talking about locating just any fish. I thought about this today. I says, you can probably get on the banks of anywhere and throw out and catch some catfish. But them big fish is not just everywhere. And
right.
What do you do to try to target and look for what is it that you're doing when you go out on the water?
Well, the very first thing I do is after I launch my boat is I'm looking on my Lowrance and seeing what that water temperature is. That water temperature is one of my main targets that I use. I know at 50 degrees and above that the shad are going to start coming up off of the bottom. And generally wherever the shad is, that's where the fish are at. Next, I'm taking my side scan. I'm running it out about 100 feet on each side, and I'm trying to find those schools of bait. Either they're going to be either packed or they're going to be just all over everywhere. Once I find the schools of bait, and the other thing I'm doing is I'm watching the birds. Seagulls, eagles, ospreys, cormorant birds. Cormorants those guys are fish-eating birds. I mean, they go after the shad that the big cats are fishing or, trying to feed on. So I keep an eye on where those guys are at. They'll give me that idea of, when you're out there searching, especially a big body of water like Wilson or Wheeler.
So the birds you're talking about, the ones that dive, that hit the water, what are them called?
Well, there's cormorants, and then there's the seagulls. But usually the seagulls are going after the little guys. I'm not looking for little baits. I'm looking for big baits. And the cormorants are, you see a lot of them. Cormorants, a lot of times when you're seeing them fly, they're about a foot above the water. But what's really interesting is when they get in the water, they swim in the water just like they're flying. I mean, they get in groups and they just go through and just rip bait apart. And then you'll see them come up and they'll have a shad. They'll have, like a 10 or a 12-inch shad in their mouth, and they're gulping them down. Oh man, I wish I had that bait right there. He just had. So, I really watch the birds.
I'm watching for questions on this scroll thing, and I believe I was thinking today, out of the best cat fishermen, I think you would be in the category to ask when you are fishing. what makes you lick your chops to what, if you're just getting to a body of water and you know the fish are active, you know that you got the perfect bait, what is your number one technique that you have the most confidence in, that's paid off the best and most for you to use to target and try to get that catfish?
To get the big monster cats.
For your number one technique or whatever in your ideal water conditions,
right.
What is your absolute favorite way to try to catch the fish?
That would be dragging. I'm either dragging out the back of the boat and using planer boards. But my favorite way to catch big catfish and even big channel cats is dragging baits. And the Joey Kirby rig, man, I'll tell you what, that has changed. That has changed everything for me.
That's not a plug either, okay?
No. I mean,
okay.
And we talked about it.
Right.
I was really impressed with that rig when you first showed it to me. I'd never seen it before. But okay, so I met up with you guys. I think it was, let's see, I retired in May. I think it was June, wasn't it, when you guys were down there? Okay.
It was June.
So from that time, I started using the Joey Kirby rig, and I caught from there till November, I put 23 fish that were over 50 pounds in the boat using that rig. So yeah, that's my go-to rig, and that's dragging, and I'm using it dragging.
Doc, do you use the structure snakes? Did you use something like that?
Yeah, I did use them. Now I kind of make my own. The big thing when it comes to the dragging weights is I just barely want them to touch the bottom. I don't want them to be dragging through things. Mm-hmm. I just barely want that weight to be ticking the bottom because my bait's going to be floating well above the weight.
Mm-hmm. Doc, do this right here. I want you to. There may be some viewers in here that, and probably like me, it was 7 or 8 years ago, we didn't know nothing about dragging baits. And a lot of people down here where I'm from have absolutely no clue about it. Mm-hmm. What is the advantage? What is the advantage of dragging baits? What is the advantage of this right here?
Really, I think the advantage of dragging is you're trying to catch active feeding fish. You're not sitting there waiting on them to come to you. You are taking the bait to them. Now, especially if I'm scanning, and I'm always scanning, I'm looking aside, I'm watching that down scan. When I come across a school of bait, and then I see those, and they won't be arches. With the big fish, you don't see an arch. You see like a flat, long line. And I got a Lowrance 12 touch. And when I see those big clouds of bait, and then I see those flat lines that are the size of your little finger on my thing, oh boy, it's going to be smacking time.
Yeah, if it's like mine, you see it. Mine's got that red as a lot of return. So when you see that and you see a lot of red in it, you're just sitting there waiting, anticipating.
Well, on my Lowrance, it's green, and when I see green, that's a money fish there. I know.
I guarantee you. Now, when you talk about showing them lines on there instead of arches,
yeah,
is that when you're just is that when you're trolling around?
Yeah,
or is that when you're idling around looking for them?
Well, most of the time I start looking for fish using my trolling motor. I use my trolling motor more than I do my main motor. I get to an area, and once I start marking the fish, I shut that big motor down. I just got a feeling those big fish don't like something buzzing over top of their head. The motor makes it where the trolling motor doesn't make near the noise that a big motor does.
You know what I've done, Doc, in trying to, when you find these fish, if I find where some is stacked up in them and I have idled over them with my motor, I go on down 100 yards. I get clean past them. Yeah. And turn around and I start 100 yards from them fish. then drag my bait into them. I don't pull right there on top of them and throw my lines out and go to dragging. I try to get back off and drag into them and sort of sneak back up on them,
Yeah. Especially if there's humps. If there's humps out there, and Wilson and Wheeler both have humps all over everywhere. I don't like to drag directly over top of the hump. I try to drag around the edges of it, because those guys will stage on the back side of those humps, waiting on something to come by.
Stacy, I'm gonna Doc, I'm gonna ask you. There's a few questions on here, and we try to cover about as much as we can on these. If you can, I'm just going to spit out a few that people's asking. If you can, just try to answer them pretty quick. The Ricky Freeman asks, "What's the best time of year to start dragging?"
I start dragging when the water hits 50 degrees. Well, actually, it can be less than that. I just have to go much slower.
Okay.
0.2, 0.3, anything under 50, I'm at 0.2, 0.3.
Fish and Cooking with Mike Chavez says, "How do you drag a river in strong current?"
Generally upriver into the current. That's where the planer boards come in. The planer boards have a tendency of, putting that bait out, and sometimes I'll suspend it. I'll hang the baits right off the back of the board, not, let that weight tick on the bottom. That's why, it's so important that I just barely ticking that weight on the bottom, and then that bait's running like 2 or 3 feet above it.
Right. Tony Caton asks, what size leader line do you use?
I use 80-pound test.
Jason Big Cat Mathena's on here just tearing you up. I'm not even going to tell you what he's saying. I'm not even going to go there.
Big and sexy.
And there's several people asking about the Kirby rig. We get into that. Just look at a few of our past shows, and you'll see that on there. Yeah. You can get them at Dale's Tackle. Get them, holler at me, Academy. But they're out there, and the techniques are all over the place. So that's about all the questions that I really see on there, Doc. But I'll holler later on whenever if I see some more.
Okay.
Doc, let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
When would there be a time that you would determine that you're not going to drag baits and you're going to anchor?
When I see a lot
that dictates that?
When I have a lot of current and I see the fish are stacked up, Wilson Lake. Wilson is my favorite lake to fish. And there's a lot of trees on Wilson Lake. And when I start marking them fish that are down inside those trees, I'll see those fish down in there. Then I'll anchor above them and then throw back into them. I am not shy about throwing a bait into a tree. It does not bother me. I know I'm going to get hung, but most of the time I can work my way out.
Hey, Doc, me and Joey found that out the day we was fishing with you.
Yeah.
Hey, Doc, that's the day me and you accidentally left all of our tackle in the truck and used Stacy's.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all used it all up.
Yeah. But
that might have been the reason.
We did.
That might have been the reason Doc said, "Just throw over here this top. It's Stacy's stuff in there."
Yeah, I wasn't losing any of my stuff. But yeah, a tree, I don't hesitate. And the cedar trees on Wilson are just unrelenting. You just, a lot of times I've gotten a hold of a fish and he's got me hung. And then this is an old trick I used years ago. And what I'll end up doing is I'll just take the rod, put it back in the rod holder, crank that drag way up on it, and then crank that rod down so it's bowed real hard down into the water. He's going to get tired of that thing sitting there tugging on him. And at some point, he's going to come back out the same way he went in. So as soon as I see that rod start to lean back a little bit, I'm on it. You guys have seen how fast I can move on a boat.
You can.
If I got one that's hung and he's coming out, I am on that rod.
He is.
Yeah. And you know, as soon as I got that rod in my hand, then I'm reaching down there and I'm backing that drag off. That's the reason I like the lever drag reels, you know, because I can just reach up there and just pull that lever right back. I don't have to mess around with the star drag.
Yeah.
So. Now, and I was asked here a while back, and I think this is a good time to let them know this. I think it was Michael Burton. He asked a question: the advantage of spot locking and the advantage of using an anchor. And when you're in 70 foot of water and you're in tops, that spot lock comes in really, really handy.
Yeah.
And you're back.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, I've got a Rodan that's on my boat. I had one on my 24 footer. I've got another one that's on my 18 footer. I know last year, Jason and Vicky and I, we dropped the anchor because we were in some smoking current and we run that Rodan all day long. And then, you know, it started giving out. I mean, we were in 2.5, 3 mile an hour current and it was holding pretty good. And then, you know, after about 6 hours, it was saying, it's not going to happen. And then we had to throw the steel.
Well, that's one thing that I sort of go by. If I'm in a lot of current and I plan on sitting there for 30 or 40 minutes, I'll throw my anchor out. If there's very little current, I use my spot lock. But, you know, you get in some current like that, my mindset is, well, if I sit here with this hard current for 30 or 40 minutes, and I do it a couple of times a day, it's really going to wear my batteries out. So that's one of the things that I go by.
Now, the one, you know, just the fact that I don't like to be pulling that anchor up and, you know, and you're getting it in those trees, getting it back can really be tough. So now what I'm doing, and I started doing it late last year, is I'm running a generator all the time on my boat. So my batteries are staying up all the time. I've got the generator tied right into the trolling motor batteries, keeps them up. And so, you know, I like using the trolling motor to anchor the boat. So,
I love the trolling motor if I can.
I don't mind. I don't mind throwing the anchor out one bit if I got Joey or Big Blue Hunter with me.
That's what I was getting ready to say, because you don't
throw it
throw
out
it
right
out.
There. Pull it up.
No, that ain't good. Pull it back up. We got to move up. Pull it up. Go.
And that's the advantage of using the trolling motor. If you're not exactly right where you're at, you know, I can bump mine over. I can just, you know, I can go forward. I can go back. I can go right, left, whatever I need to do. Generally, when you know, when I'm on a trolling motor, that's anchor mode for me. Generally what I do is I go 65 feet above where the fish are at. So once I mark a fish, you know, I hit a waypoint and then I recall that waypoint. And as I move above that fish, Lawrence is going to tell me how many feet I am above that waypoint. And then I set the boat up to, I know 65 is a nice little lob for me to right out the back of the boat. And you know, and sometimes you got to have them, those baits have got to be right in front of their face for them to move, especially if they're in the trees. You know, they don't like to come out of them trees. That's home for them. So,
yes,
you know, a nice bloody skipjack or a nice, you know, and a lot of people when they're fishing Wilson and Wheeler Lake, you know, they're always in the skipjack. But boy, I tell you what, in let's see, this is March, April, and May. Boy, if you can get some good shad, that is some catfish candy down there.
Well, you know, Joey fish.
I look at it better than skipjack.
I love shad. I mean, I grew up fishing with them, and when we up there fishing, if they up there by that wall running, I'm gonna go get me some to go out fishing with.
Yeah.
Well, Stacy, you remember next time we fish, you give me the skipjack heads, and you can have all the shad you want. Just take the shad and set on your side of the boat, and let me have a couple skipjack heads.
I take the big shad head
us,
and the skipjack head.
No, if Doc's with us, he can't use no skipjack heads either. because I'm not using tails all year this year.
Oh, yeah. The tail will prevail.
Yeah. Hey, there's a few more questions on here. Dustin wants to know what your largest flathead is on the Ohio River.
56 pounds.
Stacy, Tony Caton would like to give away their new slime line, heavy 50-pound heavy cover line. If you want to do that here in a few minutes, maybe.
Remember that. Can you write that name down, Tony Caton?
Yeah, I know Tony.
Right.
No, we're not ignoring anybody. We're just Doc. Does Doc use a certain amount of weight per depth of water to drag?
No. I'm just watching those rod tips and just making sure that is barely ticking. I do have to give kudos out to a guy that taught me how to drag. I'm old school. I've been on the water a long time. And when I first started, the only thing you did was you throw the anchor out the front and you anchored down. Did that for years, like 30 years we were doing that. And then along came drifting. Well, I refused to drift. No, I'm not going to drift. Well, everybody was kicking my rear in tournaments because I hadn't learned to drift. So then I was forced to drift. So now, the dragging and the back bouncing are the big thing. And Mark Blauvelt is the guy that taught me how to drag. And I mean, he is, I can't say enough about him. I mean, that guy is a master at that. I'm starting to get a little bit better because I'm going to end up on the water a lot more than what he is. And so I can experiment with all kinds of different ways to, I'm already getting my rig so I can drag through those big cedar trees down on Wilson Lake.
You get that, Stacy? He brags on him a little bit and then smacks him upside his head. You know that? You know how he does that? He boosts him up and then just smacks him right upside the head.
One of the things that I done when I first started dragging, and there was several, and I mean, this is probably going back 7 years ago or so. I haven't been dragging baits long. I anchored fish everywhere I went, and but when we started dragging, I started trying to learn how to do it. I just had a mess. I get so aggravated. And I seen people have dragging weights of 3 ounces, 4 ounces, 5 ounces, 6 ounces. And my thoughts were, I just get a heavy one and it'll just do everything I need. And I drug a 6-ounce dragging weight for a long time. And I started watching this. I had some that was a little bit lighter. I wouldn't know how to use them. But I've come to find out the secret to dragging them baits and not staying hung up is to drag the lightest weight that you possibly can in the current, because you just want that thing just sort of, and if you get one that's heavy, it's just going to lay on the bottom and get in everything. And that lighter one's going to pop up a little bit easier.
Yeah, and on Wilson, you got them big cedar trees that got them big limbs that stick, and I pulled up plenty of them, trust me. I've uprooted a few of them. On that lake, and every time it was never the hook being hung. It was always the weight being hung in that cedar tree. Mm-hmm. So I've been playing around, here next month, I will be really hitting it hard down there because I will be leaving Ohio. And how was it? You said Alabama?
Alabama, baby.
Hey, Stacy, I think I'll answer for me and you. We use the lightest weight we can use while we're dragging rigs because the lighter structure snakes are cheaper than the heavier ones. So if we can lose $2 versus $2.25, that's what we're going to do. So there was one more question here, Doc. My fellow was asking, what's your ideal speed on about 50-degree water while you're dragging bait? What speed are you looking to drag? Adam Scott wants to know.
I'm always at about 0.3, 0.4. If the fish are real aggressive, I'll bump it up. As the temperature starts going up, I start pushing my speeds up. When the temperature's in the 80s, I have caught fish at 1.5 miles, dragging baits. I mean, they will literally run it down as it goes by them. You'll mark them, and especially on downskin, you'll see them kind of go off to the side, and then you'll watch them. You can see them come right up on the baits as you're moving along.
I think, Stacy, I think that's about most of the questions that I've seen on here. So
let's do this right here. Let's do a giveaway. We're going to give away a pack of hooks here, and it'll be your pack of hooks of choice. You can contact this guy right up here with Nocturnal Nation Catfishing, and we're going to give one away if you will give me a number. If one of y'all, Doc, can give me a number between 1 and 7, we're going to choose from there, from the chat. If you hadn't put SDC in, you need to go ahead and do that, and that's what we're going to be looking for. So, Doc, give me a number between 1 and 7. Let's go with that.
Number 1.
They still putting a smack SDC down. I like that.
Ed Herbert, he is on Facebook. Ed, if you will contact this guy right here, we got him popped up. I reckon they can see on our side a hook giveaway. Contact Corey Hauser at Nocturnal Nation Catfishing. Joey, let's give away also that, what was it, Slime?
We're going to give away, it's Tony Caton. He's with Slime Line and Big Cat Fever. He wanted to give away a roll of, I believe they got some new, it's either Slime Line or their 50-pound, the stuff that you can't really cut with a saw. But they come out with some new line, and he put it on here. He sent me a message on here, so whoever wins, send me a message, and I will I'll take care of that part of that. But yeah.
Let's do that right there, and we'll go ahead and do this. I can't pop his name up because I ain't had time to go in tight with my 2 fingers. But Joey, let's give me a number there between 1 and 7. We'll go with that.
73. Deuce.
Number 2.
Somebody good. Pick somebody good, Stacy.
Well, we're gonna pick number 2 right here when I come down through here.
Pick somebody good. Joey Kirby.
He is on Facebook. Brian Starr. I think that's a guy who makes the planer boards. BRYSTR.
Make some good planer boards. That Bry fella and the Bears boards are great boards.
Hey, Brian, you need to you need his contact information. Contact Joey, and he can get you the contact. Who was that guy who needs to contact Joey?
It's Tony Caton with it's with Big Cat Fever and Slime Line. But he put something on here that he sent me a message, but I'm on my phone. So just have Bry send me a message, and we will get it squared away.
All right. Well, good deal. Let me see if is there any more questions? Don, what else you got? What else you want to say?
Well, I seen a question here. Somebody was asking what I make my stuff out of. My dragon weights, I order it's at heat shrink tubing. I order it from an automotive place on the web because it's got glue inside of it. And once you put those weights in there, you don't want them coming out. And when you shrink it up, a lot of times I'll take a pencil, those pencil sinkers, and then I'll make them. And then I put that backing, window backing. It's like 3/8 from Lowe's inside of them, because I want that weight. I don't want that weight just dragging. I want it to be standing straight up. That's how I want that weight. That way it'll walk over top all that structure. It'll walk across rocks. It won't lay down inside of it. It just walk. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to walk those baits over. So if it gets in a cedar tree, instead of dragging up on it, and then cedar trees, I don't know if I've dragged up enough of them. They look like jagged limbs is what they look like. And so the weights have a tendency of getting hung right up inside there. And then, I just try to keep it so, it'll walk over top of it. And, you're looking at your rod actions when you're doing that. I've got the TWCs are one of my favorites. I've also got the Black Horse custom rods I've had for years. And you just need a rod that's got plenty of backbone and the tip is fairly fast. When you're chasing the big blues, you can have a fairly stiff rod. Now, when I'm chasing channel cat, I want a real fast tip on that rod. But then again, I'm only using maybe 1 or 2 ounce when I'm chasing channel cats.
There was a question here that Daniel Fountain asked, and I think this is a legit thing because this is sort of key for me. How far, when you're dragging baits, how far back is there a distance you like from the boat, or do you just put them right up on the boat dock?
Yeah.
What do you do?
Well, I'm running 7,000 Abu Garcia 7,000s, and the 2 that are dragging out the back, I throw them out and I let at least half of the spool out. So that thing is about 200 feet or so behind the boat. My rod rack is really high on the boat. So the angle that line is at going into the water, the farther back it is, the more it'll walk over top of everything. One of the best things that I know on Wilson, you have a lot of those little dinky catfish, and you put a head out there and they'll be sitting there pounding on that. That rod tip will just be sitting there just going crazy. And you're going, oh man, they're going to eat that head alive. No, I like seeing that, because as soon as I see that rod tip just stop, 1 or 2 things is going to happen. Either they're going to come back and they're going to start pounding on it again, or that big boy that's coming up behind, he's got that scent where they've been sitting there banging on that head. He's going to eat either them or he's going to eat my bait. Now, it's easier for him to eat my bait than it is to chase them little catfish down. So
Yes,
most of the time they will bury a head. As soon as that rod goes silent there, the next thing is usually a major pull down, especially on flatheads, and it looks like you're hung up. Flathead will ease that rod tip right on down, and I catch plenty of flatheads dragging baits.
Well, Doc, me and Joy it might have been our very first trip. And we caught several fish that day, and we was just dragging some baits down through there. I was turning around, watching the back of the boat, and his old rod just started just easing over. And I told Joey, I said, Joey, you hung. And he went up to get his rod and reel, and I turned around, was doing something else, and I wasn't paying no attention. Next thing he said, you may want to get the net.
No, I was catching a fish, and he was eating pig knuckles, and he said something about hung, and I thought he had a pig knuckle hung in his throat. So that's the story. But here's the dragon weights right here, similar to what most people use. And there's a bunch of people asking about those weights. There they are. And there's what the bobber they talk about, the Kirby rig. Doctor, a question or two about how far you tie your leaders on these rigs.
Most of the time it's 24 to 36. The more current there is, the shorter I go. So
right.
if there's very little current, man, I'll have that thing out there fight. Well, you have them. I've seen you have them out there 6 feet behind the thing.
I do.
That's a tad bit long for me, but most of the time when there's very little current, I'll run them out there 3-4 foot behind that rig.
There's a bunch of people asking. You get these things here from me. Contact me, message Dale Dunaway. You can find them sometimes at Academy, but if you can get them, there's where you can get them. And these dragon weights here, structure snakes, you can get them from Dale. Holler at Stacy. Any of us to give you any information that you want.
Yeah.
To send us questions, whatever you want, just holler at us. There's a lot of people asking, so Yes, and
Yeah.
I'll answer that.
And
Doc is a mono guy. Yes.
Yeah, I'm a mono guy.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, I am too, Doc. I'm a mono guy. Now,
The
we
only
was
time
talking about them.
most of the time, the only time I'm using braid is when I'm back bouncing, because you got to have that feel.
Yeah. Talking about dragging the baits, I've always been a 6,500 man. I love the Abu Garcia 6,500s, but I soon found out that
Welcome, Adam.
the 6,500 just was not getting it from me with
Yeah.
dragging baits.
It doesn't hold
Once I
enough
put out
line.
so much line, and if you broke off one time, then I didn't have enough line to go out as far as I wanted to go. So
Yeah.
I carry about 8 to 10 rods on my boat, and 4 or 5 of them's got 7,000 on them just for dragging, because I like them. I like to put them back there.
Yeah.
Get them way on back there.
My grandkids, when they're with me on the boat, and I'm running the planer boards, a lot of times, Grandpa, where's the binoculars at? Because that one's way out there. I run a pretty good spread. If I got a couple of the kids with me, I can run 6, 7, 8 rods. Now, 8's about my max. When I'm by myself down in Tennessee and in Alabama, 6. I run. I try to run 2 draggers out the back and 2 planer boards on the right, 2 planer boards on the left.
Yeah.
And most of the time, what I'm trying to do is get on a ledge, and I put the boat directly on top of the ledge, and I try running that ledge, because those back baits are going to be on the ledge. I've got 2 on the shallow side of the ledge and 2 on the deep side of the ledge. And when we're talking about a ledge, we're talking about a significant change in water depth. On the Lowrance hummingbirds, it shows up as real tight lines that you see on your mapping.
This was a question right here, and I was asked about this the other day. Brian Wagner just put this up. Very interesting. Now, it might not work for everybody, but if I see fish there, Joey's fished with me before, and if I don't come over and I've seen fish, I will stick with them. I mean, I will wear. Me and Scott Lovelace and his wife Julie was fishing together. And we pulled through a place and looked, and there was some fish in there. We went to the back and made that drag out, and we didn't catch nothing. I mean, I don't know if we even caught a fish, and there was fish in there. And we got out there to the end, and Scott says, "Turn it around and go back." And so we just made a big loop to keep everything. Before we had to reel stuff in, we just made a big loop and went right back. And when we went back the other direction, I don't know what it was about it, but I'm telling you, we smoked them, and all we done it different was went a different direction going into them fish.
Yeah, my number one rule is never leave fish to find fish.
That I heard that Paul up there that fishes on the Santee, Paul Blackwell. He made a comment one time, and I'll never forgot it. He says, "Never leave fish to go find fish."
Right.
And so that's the smartest thing I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, why do we want to look for some? My theory is they're here. Let's just be here when they start to feed. And I just keep working it. I mean, I'm just on like, hey, I may blow the whole day, but they right here, and I'm gonna take my chances right here.
Yeah. And another thing, I'll change my baits. If I can't get them to bite, it's like somebody holding a hot dog in front of me, and then there's a T-bone right beside me. Well, I'm going to take that T-bone. I'm going to pass off on that hot dog. So a lot of times, what I'll do is I'll start putting on a 24-inch skipjack, and I'll drag that whole thing down through there.
Well, you answered a question for a fella. He just asked, "Is there any bait too big?" So there's your answer to that.
Big. Now,
the other thing go ahead, Doc.
The one thing I do is I only use a single hook. I don't use double hook rigs.
Yeah, I don't either.
You just get hung up. I mean, especially when you're, I'm targeting him through trees, and so if he's hungry enough, he'll suck down that whole 24-inch skipjack. We've seen him. Actually, I've seen him where they'll take down mine, and there'll be 2 or 3 more already in his throat that he hadn't even digested yet. They're eating machines.
Hey, I want to throw this out there real quick, Stacy. Also, since we was talking about these rigs and stuff, none of us, I know Stacy don't and Doc don't. Each his own. There's some people talking about using demon dragons and dragon shads and all of that stuff. Hey, I don't persuade anybody to use or whatever you want to use. I'm just I choose these, but I like demon dragons, dragon shads. I'll take one of them bobbers and clip it on there. Each his own. You use what works for you. Now I'm not trying to be salesmen by no means. You use what you use, and that's perfectly fine. So
you know what I've done, Joey, and you've probably seen this. There's a lot of times when I'm fishing, if I'm fishing with 3 rods, I may have them set up 3 different ways.
Right.
I just want to try to
figure out a pattern.
Form a pattern. I'm just trying to figure out what. And so I don't just stick, and I may have some leader lines on there that's long. I may have some that's short. I may have rattles on some. I may not have rattles. I may just have a float. But I'm telling you, after I catch about the second fish on the same rig, all of them going to have the same thing on there.
Yep. Hey, and also, when you're dragging them baits, I know Doc, when he fished with us, Stacy and I, a lot of people, they'll have their planer boards on the outside. They'll have a couple dragging on the inside of the rod holders, and a couple more dragging. Always, in my opinion, put you a suspended one down. Some people call it dead sticking. I call it suspending. And I know Stacy, I probably get on his nerves by as much as I click mine, but it's every minute or two. If we cover 5 foot of water, I click mine down to the bottom and reel it up just a little bit. I want that bait not dragging, but suspend drifting just as close to the bottom as I can get. And a lot of times, if they may choose the planer boards, they may choose the back dragging ones, the further ones back, and sometimes you'll start catching them right there just suspending one. So always suspend one down in there.
The day that the big blue hunter was with me, and I think he caught his personal best, because I'm always going to have, I don't suspend one like you do, but I have my dragging rig, and I just let it straight down till it hits the bottom, and I give it about 5 foot, and I just drag it right up on the bottom of the boat. Mm-hmm. And the day he was with me, he caught his personal best, and that's what he caught him right up from up on the bottom of the boat. On that old whisker whip, that old limber pole, the tip was in the water when it went down.
It's really exciting when they hit a dead stick.
Doc's got me ready to go
there
fishing.
ain't nothing like that.
Yeah, you're 5 eyes down and you're trying to wrestle that thing out of the rod holder.
Hey, you got to now Stacy's rod holders. Now I'm gonna throw this out there and not charge them a penny, Stacy. We're going over our time, but I think that we probably still got them tuned in. Y'all need to check out Stacy's rod holders, because a lot of rod holders, and you use whatever works for you, but I'm telling you, if you're in the market looking for some, check Stacy's out, because when them things get smoked down, there's no Rubik's Cube and maneuvering them out. Mm-hmm. You grab them suckers and they're right out. So just you use what you use, but if you're in the market, you're looking, you're not satisfied with what you have or whatever, check Stacy's out. They're coming out in numerous colors too. So just throwing that out there.
I want to get ready. We've been out on the air now for probably close to 50 minutes. Guys, we have had a great program tonight. A lot of viewers in. I can't express to you enough of how much we appreciate you being a part of the program and being a part of chat. I can't tell Doc enough how much we appreciate him being on here with us and just sharing with us his knowledge and wisdom and techniques. Guys, this program is about being able to try to help you out, to share different tips, different ideas, maybe get you to think outside the box some, and maybe you'll be able to put more fish in the boat. So, guys, I appreciate it so much. Let's do one more giveaway, and we're going to close with this. We got a reel, another Cat Max reel that we're
Man,
going to. Got another one.
I want to be entered in this one.
Well, go ahead and enter, but you probably ain't going to win.
I've been complimenting you all night. And
I'm sorry, Joey. I'm sorry.
Doc, you done rubbed off on him. Your buddy you was boosting a while ago, and then you had to throw in. By the way, I'm moving right beside Willer and Wilson Lake. Joey just probably sold 600 rod holders for him, and he won't give me a chance to win a reel.
Joey, I'll buy you a reel. Let's do this. Give me one more. Go give me one more number here, Joey.
Give him one, Doc. I ain't fooling with him.
Number
1 through
3.
7. Let's go with it.
Number 3.
And while you're drawing that out, Stacy, I want to holler out at my. I got a family member that's got a little bad news this past week, and he started chemo the other day. I know prayer works. Keep him in your prayers. Our buddy, fellow fisherman, Big Doug. He's getting ready to go through some trying times. Keep him in your prayers. There's my buddy Jeff Shock. His father is having some troubling times, and I know I'm a firm believer in prayer.
Amen.
I always find comfort when I know people, especially friends, are praying on my behalf or sending out some prayers. Keep those guys in your prayers, because there's a couple real close people in my life that are down in the dumps right now. So just keep them in your prayers. And I know Stacy, every week, it's my favorite part of the show. He leaves us with some scripture, and you can go ahead and so I'll shut up.
The winner of that reel is Jason Moses. Jason, if you're still in chat, make sure you contact me on Messenger message me up under Stacy Gasson. That's sometimes the best way to hit me. So Jason Moses. Guys, I'm going to close with this. I'm going to share this word, and please don't leave me right now. I won't hold you about 2 or 3 minutes. One of the things I think that people misunderstand is we are spiritual beings. The Bible makes mention that we're spirit, soul, and body. We do a lot of time. We feed our old body, and we take care of it. We do certain things, and we educate ourselves. Probably one of the biggest things we neglect, though, is our spiritual man. And this is who we are. This is our spirit man will go on out into eternity. John chapter 3, and I want to read a couple of verses, and we'll close. There was a man of the Pharisees named Nicodemus, a ruler of the Jews. The same came to Jesus by night and said unto him, Rabbi, we know that thou art a teacher come from God, for no man can do these miracles that thou doest except God be with him. Jesus answered and said unto him, Verily, verily, I say unto you, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God. Nicodemus said unto him, How can a man be born when he is old? Can he enter the second time into his mother's womb and be born? And Jesus answered, Verily I say unto you, except a man be born of water and of the Spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom of God. That which is born of the flesh is flesh, and that which is born of the Spirit is spirit. Marvel not that I said unto thee that ye must be born again. The wind bloweth where it listeth, and thou hearest the sound thereof, but cannot tell where it's come from, and whither it goeth. So is every one that is born of the Spirit. I want to encourage you, if you don't have a relationship with Jesus Christ, go get you a Bible, read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. You don't have to be no philosopher. You don't have to have went anywhere. Just read what is in red, and you're going to be amazed what it'll do for your spiritual man. God bless you. Y'all have a great day. Glad to have Doc in here with us tonight. And Doc, we'll have to get you back again. May
All
the
right.
blessings and the favor of the Lord continually rest upon y'all. God bless you, and we'll see you next week at the same time.
Jerry Ishcomer also in your prayers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hang on 1 second.
And cut.
Hang on. I'm trying to get out of here.
And cut.
It still says live.
Hey, Stacy.